Good evening and welcome to the February 18th meeting of the Transportation Committee. We have some members here live in the audience, others at home or fresh off the ski slopes on Zoom. So first we'll call the meeting to order. Second item is our approval of minutes back from our meeting on October 15th. Any comments, questions on those minutes? See none. Anyone want to move those?
I make a motion to approve.
Lori moved.
Second.
Mary second. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those are passed. So coming on our first item this evening, we have a guest with us this evening. About a month or more ago, the supervisor and I had the pleasure of meeting with Tim Hogan. He's a Penfield resident who's working on developing a product for some feedback, kind of in the line we've seen for speed feedback. He's looking to do some more stuff with that. So the supervisor and I had met with him, thought it had some merit to it, and thought this would be a good group to vet it out with. So we turn it over to Tim, do a short presentation on his product. He's looking for Penfield to be a pilot of this product. So if you guys have questions, comments, at the end, but have him do a short presentation to start out. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Tim.
Awesome, Mark. Appreciate it. Can you all see my sign? See my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm Tim. As Mark was saying, I'm also a Penfield resident, live right down the street from the town hall there. So I'll just kind of give a quick overview of the project, but then I'll open up the floor for any sort of questions, comments, insights. I would love to kind of hear your guys' thoughts on things. So my team has been working on the next generation of smart speed signs. Driver feedback signs have been incredibly effective of a way of managing speeding. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I see a sign like this, I definitely slow down and pay attention. And so we believe that we can have the same sort of effect with distracted driving and with people not wearing a seatbelt. And kind of our hope is to be able to pilot here in Penfield. Me being a Penfield resident, it would be great to see our streets being safer. So I graduated from Penfield the same year that the 5 girls from Fairport passed away because of a distracted driving accident. And there's something about being the same age, driving on the same roads, that it definitely kind of struck with me. To this day, every single time I hop on 490, I see there's a driver not paying attention, looking at their phone, trying to text somebody. And after years of seeing this, I definitely decided to try to do something about it. So what we've done is we've created a comprehensive driver feedback sign. So they're very similar to the other speed signs that are out there, but we've also added the functionality to flash at people who are distracted driving or to flash at people wearing seatbelts. Speeding, we all know, is a problem, but distracted driving causes over 850,000 crashes a year, and not wearing a seatbelt, still 10% of people do it, and it still causes over 3,000 deaths a year. So the system consists of 2 different parts. One is the normal speed sign, and so we actually just use another company's speed sign. And so what we use is just this other detector, and so the detector kind of sees if the driver is kind of in compliance. And so if they're not paying attention, then it just kind of gives them a friendly reminder to pay back attention to the road. It allows the residents to kind of self-police and just remind them how important it is to pay attention while driving. So this is kind of a quick view of kind of it working. So our device kind of uses similar technology to automated vehicles. And so what we've done is we've designed an algorithm to see if someone has a phone in their hand. And if they do, then we trigger the sign telling them to kind of pay attention. So we're currently working on kind of 2 different systems. One is a pole-mounted system that can kind of be mobile or kind of be permanent. The second system is kind of a trailer system. They're kind of 2 to 3 feet. Both systems run off solar power, so they're kind of off-grid and off-network. We're also able to provide a data collection platform that kind of gives us data on speeding, distracted driving, and seatbelt wearing. One allows us to see kind of how effective our system is, and then 2, to be able to identify kind of hotspots around the city. And so, we were testing this in Boston previously, and tested about 20 hours worth of live traffic. And so, I mean, we've kind of done everything we can in the lab, and kind of our next step is to be able to kind of bring it to the side of the road and kind of see what sort of edge cases we see and see how well it works. So one, I mean, looking to kind of be able to do it on the streets of Penfield, but also eventually the state roads tend to be a little bit more traffic and help us get a little bit more information to see where it kind of works. Yeah, so I mean, I have a background in technology and still just kind of learning the government aspect of this stuff. But we'll kind of love everyone's thoughts on how is the best way to bring this to market and answer whatever questions people have.
How are you dealing with the privacy issues? Are you recording video and storing that, or are you just collecting the speed data and other things?
Yeah, so we're only collecting speed data and kind of general information, nothing about people. So there's no images that we kind of share at all. The demo was just to be able to show kind of how it works, but there's no information being saved like that.
So how does the algorithm catch somebody with their phone? I mean, it's not a video-based detection?
So it uses kind of like a radar system. It's called LiDAR. So it's similar to what's in an automated vehicle. So it's a depth sensor camera and can see structure.
Okay. So, and you store the data. How do you store the data?
So
And how do you retrieve it?
Yeah, so it's all instantaneous. So we process it immediately. So as soon as it comes on off the radar, we process it to be able to trigger the sign. And then the only data that we're storing is like the percentage of people that are texting while driving during a given period of time. So we can start being able to see how well it's working.
And where did you want to pilot this?
So we kind of came up with 4 different locations in Penfield that would be kind of plausible. We're kind of looking for long straight streets that have a decent amount of traffic. And I don't have them on the top of my mind right here, but we can kind of go through those.
And so so you said you have your LiDAR technology. How far in advance of a sign is that?
We're talking about 300-400 feet, so it gives people about 4 to 5 seconds to see the sign.
And this implementation, is it something semi-permanent? Do you have to put a foundation in the ground, or is it something more portable?
Yeah, so we're kind of looking at 2 options right now. Is we can either put in a 14-foot, 3.5-inch pole, or we're working with All Traffic Solutions to try to get a trailer to make it a little bit more mobile, so we can kind of test it in different places.
All right. Well, that sort of answers my next question: is how close to the edge of pavement is your detection?
Yeah, so we're trying to make sure that we have that 5-6 foot of easement, so we kind of keep the sign where it normally is, but then the detector can be up to 10 feet off the road. So we want to make sure that easement is especially safe with snowplows and everything else going on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, you're live. Tim, go ahead.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, what message does it send the driver if it does see that? After the speed comes up, is it words? Is it lights? What is it, the display?
Yes. So it's that normal sign typically says slow down or stuff like that. And so that's one of the things we want to test is just different messaging, such as put the phone down, or just a smile, a frowny face. Attached to it, there's also kind of these little light beacons, and they kind of flash to kind of get people's attention. So that if someone's looking down at their phone, they'll see the light kind of getting flashing. And they're not super bright. They're kind of all controllable about how bright we want to do it to make sure that it doesn't bother residents. We're trying to avoid putting it in front of someone's house or anything like that.
So it is words that are displayed on the message then?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So does
And
this,
I'm sorry, did you say this was done somewhere else, or are you just piloting it here?
We're just piloting it here. I lived in Boston before COVID, and we were kind of working with them, but now that I'm back in Penfield, it would be great to be able to work with you all.
so does this also detect it in the evening at night when it's dark?
So it does low light, so in the evening. It depends on whether there's a light sign pole, so there's never total darkness. But what it kind of does is just kind of turns off the functionality for distracted driving and seatbelt and only focuses on speeding at the middle of the night.
Okay, thank you.
Tim, if we were to put this into practice, say in Penfield, where would it be placed? Everywhere, or I guess I'm trying to think where they would be.
Yeah, so, I mean, one of the places that we're looking is front of the community center on Baird. There's kind of that long strip. You also have a lot of the high schoolers that park at the community center that are flying out, not necessarily paying attention. And so we kind of think that's one potential good spot. And so, at least for a pilot, I mean, we're talking like maybe 6 weeks and then kind of reevaluate from there
But in your mind, long range, are you thinking it would be like everywhere in Penfield, or?
I mean, I think that a couple would make sense. I think that's kind of one thing that I'm curious your guys' thoughts on is, would it make more sense to kind of have 2 installed long-term, like some of the speed signs, or to kind of use more of the trailer and being able to move it around?
Okay.
That's one of the things that I chatted with Tim about, and I don't know, other people's experiences, is the portability of it. I think we've seen with our cart and everything else, I think helps is, you see a feedback sign, it's new, it's novel, I think you see it, you notice it, you react to it. Some of the other ones, I think, long-term,
Right.
unfortunately, it may become white noise similar to stop signs and, another, you kind of just go by memory and, you're not as reactive to seeing what's going on. So I think that's one of the things, my initial conversations with Tim was about, the portability of it, might be nice to kind of move it around town as we do our speed cart and, have it, time to time, and then you see the reaction to it. I know we had one of the gentlemen asked by the school off of Highland Drive asked for it, and we put it out there, and he said, within a day you could notice people just, it kind of snaps you out of that zombie-like state or whatever. You're dropping your kids off at school, you're going about your daily business, you're just not paying attention as well as you should, and you kind of see that feedback sign, and then it, it kind of alters your.
So would this give
Initial.
you the same or better data than what we get from our traditional speed cart?
Well, right now, our speed cart does not collect any data.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, we
Oh,
have,
I did
we have
not.
2 different devices. We
Right,
have
it's the road strips
traffic
that-
counters, the
right.
tubes that go across the road, that we collect the data. It tells us how fast the cars are going, what time of day, how many per hour. The speed cart is just a visual feedback for the driver only, so we don't collect any data off that
So could
doesn't
this
tell us.
give that type of data that we normally get from a speed
Yeah, I mean,
cart?
there are some speed carts that have it. Ours doesn't, but I think this takes it up a notch, as Tim had talked. Or as we spoke about before, there's other opportunities. He said that they could look at doing seat belts. There could be some other, feedback that it could provide, and, whether words or not word, you can just have a cell phone up there with a not sign through it, flashing, or, a seat belt feedback, or you could, change through some of, what it detects, and then, you could, gather that data and see if there's a time of day, if there's, other information either we can pass on to the sheriff's office if was helpful, but I think the portability of it, definitely would.
I think it'd be a great idea
Would
for
help
our
in-
committee to,
And that's why we,
to implement this,
One,
especially
wanted
to
to
help
share it with this
Tim out
group
with
and-
his company to give it a test drive here, pardon the pun, in Penfield.
well, and that's why obviously we suggested first starting with a Penfield road, then, a county or a state road, working with us here, and something we can, work with him on a short-term basis, and, work with our plow crews and everything else. They know what's out there. They know, where it's located, work with Eric and the DPW, so they're, aware where it is on our road. We pre-approve the location, and then work with Tim to, as he's got to, check on it and, service it, everything else that, we're aware that he's working on our.
For the
road
cart,
right
that
away,
would
isn't it?
probably only be in non-snowy conditions,
Yeah,
right?
that would be a
Yeah,
non-snow time that we're throwing
yeah.
snow on it.
Yeah.
Knock over mailboxes. We don't need to knock over expensive technology.
Exactly.
So. But, just thought, this group would be a good group to, a lot of good questions to, kind of vet that out, and your thoughts as well. But the supervisor was supportive of it, had some initial conversations with Eric on it, and, would look, to work with Tim if the group is supportive of moving ahead with it, or, at least doing a pilot of it and kind of seeing. I think it'd be great to, get it out there, get some data, come back to this group, in a month or two or whenever it's up, collect that information, come back, share it with this group, and, kind of see what we come up with.
Should there be any concern that it's not a part of the MUTCD or anything similar to that? Like it's not a government-approved sign kind of thing. And I think maybe I'm directing this more to DOT.
I mean, I don't think our feedback card is an official.
I don't think it is from
DOT
permanent
sign.
installation. I mean, this is really an educational component, right?
Yep.
Right.
You can say that driver behaviors may change. They can also change for the worse, right? You can have people that want to see how high they can get that number to go.
Sure.
So, and there's other people that want to hack into it and make it say something else that's distracting to the drivers, and there's all kinds of misuses of these kind of things that people that they take for granted until it's out there, and then the kids are, how high did you get it to go? And we certainly don't want that side of it to be. So, from an educational component in a permanent setting, I don't believe the manual really speaks to that. You're trying to educate drivers, and how you do that is there's a variety of ways, and some are more effective than others, and this may be one of them that's worthwhile to try to see if it does do any different than the speed cart. The data collection is a good thing. You could see some trends that, maybe it's good for the first week, and then after the next week, it's back to normal. And then it's clear that the educational component is of a limited time frame, and it's time to move it on.
That's helpful. Thank you.
And I would add to that as a pilot project, this probably would not run any interference with the MUTCD. But I would be cautious on putting this on high volume, higher speed roadways. My preference would be to if you're going to pilot this, to pilot it on a lower speed, lower volume road. The community center road is probably, Baird Road's probably a good first start for that. And my reasoning is, we're trying to cut down on distractions, and this in itself could create another distraction. And if you're on a road like 441, you got enough things that you're processing. And if you're playing on your phone, you're already distracted, and the beacon pops up and words pop up. Now you have to comprehend that. It could create a different situation. So my preference would be to try it on Baird Road. Probably is a great spot to try it as a pilot and see where it goes, and see what kind of data it looks like, and see how effective it really is.
And then, Tim, I think you had shared that you also have a second detector you could install, or that was part of your rollout plan, is that you could have the feedback device, and then a half mile down the road, you could have a second detector and see if the person did put their cell phone down, if they did put their seatbelt on, or a second check. So not only was it a feedback, but also had, I think you were looking at some future steps that it could then collect at a half mile down the road and see if it had did it have an effect, or did it change the person's, whatever, steps they were following.
Yeah, that's definitely one of our big objectives with the pilot, is we want to see how effective this really is. And so being able to see the before and after. And with the speed signs, they tend to show about 80% of the time people change their behavior, which is pretty significant. And they tend to change that behavior actually overall the whole entire town. And so, we have this theory that we can kind of do the same sort of thing with distracted driving, not to mention just the regular speeding can make a big impact too.
Any other comments, questions from the committee?
Tim, as far as the kind of the setup for this, is this something, at least during the pilot portion, is this something that you would have to come out and set up, or is this something that we would kind of set up and move around as needed?
I think we can coordinate it. We can do it either way.
Okay.
Yeah, I think definitely want DPW involved as far as placement and off the shoulder and, where it's set up. So I think, definitely coordination of that, and then make sure you're happy with where it gets placed. Sure.
And Tim, just to confirm, if we are allowing this on the town roads, would we be receiving that data afterwards that's collected so that we can use that for our own future potential decision making?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Tim, did you say this actually collects the speed data as well?
Correct, yeah. So we got to kind of build in that functionality, but in the future we'll have that capability. It has the speeding component of it, but we haven't done the speeding collection integration. Awesome. Well, thank you all. Appreciate it. If you have any more questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me. It would be great to see this be able to make our streets safer here in Penfield. It's kind of cool to be able to test something in your own community.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that information, it sounds like the group is supportive of moving ahead with the pilot program and following up.
Yeah, Mark, this is Andy. I was going to say, do we need to kind of vote on it from a committee to endorse it, at least for the pilot perspective?
Yeah,
Pilot project perspective?
yeah, at least get a vote, and then just so, we vetted it through the committee's supportive of it, and then, said we would circle back with the group after we get the data and then come back at some point in the future and, again, run it through the committee so, this group is kept, involved of what's going on, what data we got out of it.
All right, so why don't we go ahead and just kind of do a quick vote, yays or nays on moving forward with the pilot, having Sarah, Mark, and Eric kind of spearhead it from the town perspective, certainly with understanding of working with Tim and making sure it's placed properly and safely and so forth on, whatever town road, a road within the town they feel is appropriate based on what was discussed. And I apologize for running a little bit late here. So all those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, hearing none, it passes. And Tim, thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it. Always good to see a Penfield resident participate and help make roads safe and make our community a better place. So please work with Sarah, Mark, or Eric moving forward, and we'll get something going here.
Awesome. Appreciate your all help.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda, Farmbrook Drive and Panorama Trail traffic concern.
Yeah, this came before a committee. We talked about it last, I believe, at our October meeting, and one of the items was a concern about students having to cross Panorama Trail from Farmbrook to Rossbrook, students picking up the bus. So two items kind of came out of the meeting. One, contact the school district, talk about, possibly is the bus able to be rerouted. Had the conversation back in October, and my fault, didn't follow up with the school. I did call back and left a message today. But we'll follow back up with the committee on that, as whether that is possible or not. But the second item was having a study done at that intersection. Just in, my knowledge of the intersection, I had some concern about sight distance, whether even a crosswalk mid-block, would make sense there. So we have Barton Loguidice on retainer for traffic. Did have them go out and do a study of that intersection. They looked at the sight distance, looked at the ADT, the speeds on the road, and then did come back with a recommendation and shared this with the committee that they're not recommending having a crosswalk at that location. It is a mid-block location. There is poor sight distance in that area. So providing a crosswalk, yes, I know people do cross it, but providing a crosswalk, we're telling them this is a safe place to cross the road. And if it's not, you're, inviting more issues than not. So wanted to kind of close the loop with the group on this, but then, we'll continue that conversation with the school district and see if, reallocating the bus route to go the different way around or how that works to pick up the kids on Farmbrook instead of on Rossbrook. That won't eliminate people ever crossing the road or crossing over, but if we can get, or prevent students from crossing it in an area that we, know is to be potentially unsafe, I think is a better route. So I'll circle back with the school district again and see where that goes with this group, but just wanted to, close the loop that we did follow up. We did have a traffic study done at that area, shared it with the group through email. I think Linda sent that out with the minutes previously. So I don't know if the group has any other comments, questions, concerns.
No, Mark, I think that's a fair resolution, and appreciate you spending, a few minutes giving us an update and then ultimately talking with the school district to try to see if they're prepared and willing to adjust their, bus stop schedule and bus stop location. So that probably at the end of the day is the most efficient and safest course of action moving forward.
Yep. Okay, will do.
Okay. Any other comments on that, on item number 2 for Mark? Okay. Then why don't we quickly just get a quick vote of the committee to move in that direction with that course of action. All those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say opposed or raise your hand. Okay, hearing none opposed, motion to move forward passes. And then Mark, go ahead, 5 Mile Line Road, Atlantic, New York State DOT project update. We all see the construction going on, so we know things are happening.
Yeah, and that's actually reached out to Dan. I think Dan is going to provide a little update for us, but thought, as the group is seeing things going on, you can see the telephone poles are going up. They're relocating the, separate from the DOT, but relocating the gas collector station there and moving it down Atlantic a little bit further, so that's getting moved out of the way. The poles are being moved. So just thought it was kind of timely to, Dan was willing to, provide a little update to the group, so I'll turn it over to him.
Yeah, so the project's official start is April 1st. They're doing clearing and grubbing right now, and obviously the gas work. So that work should be wrapped up probably by the middle of next month. There's been no official project kickoff meetings where the engineer in charge would invite the town, but that's coming up. So I can give you that contact information and make sure that you are aware of that. The engineer in charge is Brent Woodhouse. The project is not going to be a full year. It'll probably be done by the fall. So I guess I would say, you need to keep in contact with Brent. I know that he's reached out to Eric and I think Mark, also you, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I got an email from him initially.
I've talked to Brent about once a week.
Yeah, that's what he said when I spoke to him too, that you guys are in contact. Right now, it's a slow start. I mean, they're getting that clearing, grubbing work done, get the gas line moved, some utility work, and then they'll start the pavement work, hopefully April 1st. So within the next couple of weeks, there should be a project kickoff meeting that they would invite you to, which would be a more reoccurring meeting to keep you up to date on what the project status is. But there's not much more I can share unless you have any specific questions on that project.
Hey Dan, Andy Bohr here. First, thanks for coming back to the committee. Good to see your face again and provide a lot of value. Absolutely no doubt about that. So welcome back. Glad to have you a part of the team. The second question I have on the project is, will all four entrances to the intersection be open during the project, or will at certain times will like Atlantic Avenue be closed, and there will be a detour around, or 5 Mile Line will be closed with a detour? Just, do you have any insights on what's going to be happening traffic wise?
My understanding is that they will maintain traffic throughout the project. Now, obviously, conditions change and that might change, but right now they should be maintaining traffic through the project. So they have lanes closed and shifts and things like that.
Okay, thank you.
And Dan, we'll have to get in touch with Brent. I know a while ago we had a data sheet provided to us. We were going to put that up on the website, and then they had provided a schematic of the site, and just want to make sure we had the latest on that. So I had reached out to Brent for that, but I'll have to get an updated map if you've got one.
And I may have that right
Okay.
now. So
Just want to make sure we're rolling out our new website coming out soon, and one of the items we had on there was just to kind of share information. So, to help with that communication for our residents is to have a specific spot on the website that has DOT projects, or, obviously pointing back to them as the source for that. But if we've got a little data sheet or a little informational sheet, I think that'll be helpful to the residents. One, conversations like these to get it out there, and then two, if we can have it on our website, and then from there, if they need more information, point them back to the DOT, but at least to keep that communication going, because obviously the residents are starting to see the poles move, and whether they were aware of the project or not up to this point, be good for them to
And take
give us
advantage, I don't know if there's
information.
anybody at Town Hall that does this, press releases, things like that, but definitely take advantage, like Fairport with the bridge being out. They didn't take advantage of the press as much as they should have, and, like Spencerport has. So do that, keep giving them updates, and it'll get out to the residents Because
And we'll-
it's just a busy intersection that people from all over the county go through.
Yep, and it's a very visible location. It's in the center of town, so as you said, it's a very busy intersection. We'll work with Phyllis Ely's our communication
Oh,
specialist.
okay, no,
and then-
Phyllis, I used to work with her.
And then obviously through either Tony's column or, work with PCTV and social media and,
Okay.
put updates as we go along, but kind of thought it was a timely information to share with the group and kind of get out there ahead of it. But, with April 1st, kickoff, we'll definitely work to
April
get some
Fool's Day
communication.
kickoff, come on, really?
What could go wrong,
It does not bode well, I'm just saying.
What is the anticipated completion date?
It's going to be fall this year, probably around August. But again, there's a lot of variables in that, so that's the plan. And I think that once Brent starts having his progress meetings, you're going to have a much better understanding of what's going on, and he can provide a little bit of a soundbite for the website to let the public know what the status is and what the stages are.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And obviously, you can always reach out to me if you need more information, but he would be the best contact for that project, but I can certainly be a backup.
All right. Great. Any other questions for Dan on the state DOT project update? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. Number 4, portable speed feedback devices.
So the last year we went through and actually purchased, I believe 4 radar feedback, pole-mounted feedback devices that we can utilize. They will collect data similar to kind of what Tim was, mentioning with his pilot program, being able to offer some additional messages. We did purchase some that are, just strictly speed feedback. They could be moved pole to pole, but they are solar powered with the idea that they would be more of a permanent installation, just due to the feasibility of moving them around, the weight of them. It would likely lend itself to be better as a permanent installation. We can certainly try it, and if we put it in a particular location and then decide that maybe that location isn't quite the best, we can certainly kind of move it and tweak it as needed, but kind of looking for some thoughts and suggestions from the group for any ideas of locations that you may think that it could be practical.
And some of our first thoughts was Dublin Road is kind of a frequent flyer with this committee. A lot of, concerns in that area, would that make
Panorama
sense?
Trail.
And then Panorama Trail was the other one we were kind of thinking of, is that
But
it's
if
another one
it's
that's.
solar powered, there's going to be spots on there where it's just, it's
Well,
all the
they're
trees.
they're solar powered in the sense they still have batteries,
Okay.
but they would recharge themselves
Mm-hmm.
as they get sunlight, similar to the flashing lights above the stop signs at the corner of Wayland and Baird.
I noticed there's one I travel by a lot on East Avenue, heading towards St. John Fisher, between Nazareth and Fisher. That's it comes on it's a 40 mile. If I'm doing 42, it's blinking at me. But that only works when there's no trees. In the summer, I'm driving by and that thing I could be doing 60 and it wouldn't go off. But now it's going off because there's no trees.
Yeah,
So
and
I
that-
just don't know if that's.
Yeah, I
gonna-
mean, that may be one thing that we've got to play with a little bit, depending on the location and the time of year.
Okay.
So those were 2 spots we had thought about. Didn't know if the group had other thoughts. We're not putting them out tomorrow. We can, table this and think about it for a little bit as you're driving around town and there's spots you think about. And obviously, once we say those are the 2 spots, then as Eric said, we got to, place them around trees and where we have poles and site them so it may not be at the exact spot. Also working with a resident nearby. We're not creating a blinking light nuisance for them, for them at night in their house and their window as well. So there's, other things with sighting with that, but just kind of thought, again, this was a good group to kind of share it with. And as you all are driving around town and looking at spots or thinking about, an area that makes sense, but those were kind of the 2 we had off the top of our head was, Dublin. We've heard that one many times with this group. And, I think the speed on that road is posted at such a lower speed I just don't think it's inherent, as we've talked many times, people kind of drive the speed they feel comfortable, and I don't think without, that one may make sense with having a feedback that it kind of makes you realize you're going
Yeah.
much above or exceeding the speed limit on that road.
When are you planning on putting these out, Eric?
Spring.
When the ground's not frozen.
Oh, when that white stuff that's falling out there is gone?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, we'll have to,
You have to put up
they'll
the
be mounted on sign posts, so.
Existing posts?
Or new posts.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
we've got, new posts that we put up to, for replacement signs that get hit or damaged.
Okay.
So that's not a problem, but we'll have to, kind of figure out and pinpoint a location and wait for more cooperative weather.
Yep.
All right, why don't we go ahead and hold this for another month? Any committee members that come up with any additional locations or town staff, we can talk about it at our March meeting and then kind of come up with maybe our first 4 trial locations or, whatever Eric and the team wants to do as far as, trying 1, 2, 3, or 4 and testing them and seeing how they do on those potential locations. And we'll just, we'll modify it as needed, go from there. Does that sound okay to the committee?
Sure.
Sure.
Are you looking to put 1 in one direction or 2 and get both directions? Then you only need 2 roads.
We certainly have the option to do
Right.
either.
I mean, it could be both on Dublin and both on Panorama,
Yeah.
one going
Yeah,
either
problem
way.
solved.
Well,
And that could be the answer. I mean, we just kind of figured we'd float it out there since we've got 4 units is,
Because
Yeah.
oftentimes,
Good
if
point.
one will say, oh, you didn't have it in the right direction, they're going faster, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would think Panorama, you would think more people going quicker going down the hill, just due to gravity, but you never know. But, yeah, we could do it on either end of the street. We could do it,
Yeah.
2 facing either direction.
And if they work out great, we can, look to purchase more in the future and put them out in, additional spots. And you could potentially have one kind of, toward the top of the hill on Panorama and one closer to the bottom, if that's a chosen road.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a plan. I know Eric's budget is flush with money, so he's more than happy to go ahead and spend on some additional things.
Sure, his salt budget's going down fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Number 4, other business. Any other business from the committee members of the town?
Nope.
Nope. Held items, I'm not seeing any under held items.
Nope.
New business. Any new business from town staff or any committee members?
Nope.
Not hearing any. Public participation. Mark, Sarah, do we have anybody for public participation?
Check. Ryan, do we have anybody on the line or any callers? We don't have anybody on Zoom.
Okay. All right,
No, we're clear.
are we good?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, looks like the next meeting, agenda item number 8, next meeting is March 18th, 2021. I think we're going to continue, I believe, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, with 5 p.m. While we're still doing the Zooms. Hopefully at some point here in the near future, we can move away from Zooms. But I think for the time being, we'll continue on with Zooms. Or if you want to come in person at the town hall, it's obviously still available to do so. So with that, if there's not anything else, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting for today, February 18th. Thank you all for participating. Be safe, be healthy, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye, Andy.
Good night.
Take care.
Bye, Mary.